Ever fire off an email and then instantly spot a typo, like right after you hit send? Makes me cringe just thinking about it.
Oh, I've been there. It's the worst.
The worst. But you know who seems immune to that particular brand of panic? Proofreaders.
They're like the ninjas of the language world. Silent but deadly, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, after going through all the stuff you sent for this deep dive, I'm seriously impressed by what proofreaders actually do. It is so much more than just fixing commas.
Oh, absolutely. It's way more in-depth than people realize.
Right. Like it's a whole skill set. Which is why we're lucky to have all these resources from RoleCatcher.
Yeah.
Especially this, what's it called? Proofreader, the complete career guide.
Yeah, that's the one. That guide is like the ultimate roadmap for anyone even thinking about a career in proofreading.
Totally agrees. It gets into everything. What they do, the skills you need, how to ace those interviews. I mean, it's all there. But I think, just to start us off, we should talk about what these word wizards, these grammar gurus, actually do on a daily basis. Because I'll be honest, going into this, I didn't fully get it.
I hear you. It seems simple on the surface, but it's much more nuanced than you'd expect.
Okay, so lay it on me. What's the real deal with proofreading?
Well, this RoleCatcher guide uses a phrase I really like: examining facsimiles of finished products. Basically, they're looking at the final draft of, well, anything, a book, a website, even a social media post, and making sure it's absolutely perfect.
So it's like they're the last line of defense before something goes out into the world.
Exactly. They're protecting the integrity of the written word.
No pressure or anything, right? But it's more than just making sure things are spelled correctly, I'm guessing.
Oh, way more. We're talking about consistency, clarity, making sure the tone is right for the audience, and of course that it follows those delightful style guides.
Style guides. Don't get me started on style guides. Sometimes I feel like I need a decoder ring just to figure them out.
Tell me about it. But that's all part of a proofreader's expertise. They're like walking, talking encyclopedias of grammar and style.
Okay, so it's analytical, it's detail-oriented, but are there other, less obvious skills involved? Because I'm sensing it's not just about memorizing the dictionary.
You are wise to sense that. It definitely goes deeper. I'd say a big part of it is understanding the subtle nuances of language. Like, a misplaced comma can completely change the meaning of a sentence.
Oh, absolutely.
And a good proofreader can spot those potential landlines and prevent misunderstandings before they even happen.
That's a good point. It's almost like they're anticipating how a reader might interpret something, not just focusing on the words themselves.
Exactly. They're thinking about the reader experience, the flow, making sure the text is clear and engaging.
So they're not just editors, they're kind of like mind readers.
Huh. I like that. Mind readers of the written word. And here's something else that blew my mind when I was reading through this guide: the role of technology in all of this. Because I have to admit, I had this image in my head of, a dimly lit room, stacks of paper, and a proofreader hunched over with a red pen.
Yeah, I kind of had that picture too.
Yeah, not quite the reality anymore. Technology plays a huge role now. We're talking specialized software, digital editing tools, even AI-powered grammar and style checkers.
Whoa! AI is getting into proofreading now. That's kind of wild.
Right. It's fascinating how much the field has evolved. But technology is still just a tool.
It can't replace a human eye.
Exactly. That human touch, the ability to catch those really subtle errors, inconsistencies, and make sure the text flows smoothly, that's still irreplaceable.
So it's like a partnership
But-
between the tech and the human.
That's a great way to put it. And speaking of partnerships, something else we should touch on is the collaborative aspect of all of this.
Oh, right. Because I was surprised to see how much the guide emphasizes that. It's not just a solo endeavor.
Not at all. Proofreaders are part of a team. They work closely with writers, editors, designers, everyone involved to make sure the final product is the absolute best it can be.
Which makes sense. You need that back and forth to really get things right.
Absolutely. It's about understanding the goals of the project as a whole, not just focusing on individual sentences or paragraphs.
It's like they're conductors of an orchestra, making sure all the instruments are playing together in harmony.
I love that analogy. Okay, so we've talked about what proofreaders do, but I'm curious, especially in today's digital landscape, why is this role so crucial? Like, what's the big deal? That is the million-dollar question, and it's where things get really interesting. Just think about how much we rely on online content now, news, shopping, learning. Everything's digital.
It's true. It's like the whole world went from paper to pixels practically overnight.
And the thing is, anyone with an internet connection can publish now. Blogs, websites, social media, it's amazing.
So true. It's incredibly democratizing.
Totally. But, and I hate to rain on the digital parade here, It also means there's a lot of content out there.
Yeah.
And not all of it is, shall we say, polished to perfection.
You're being diplomatic. I'll be blunt. There's some rough stuff out there.
Yeah, there is. And that's where those eagle-eyed proofreaders come in. Because here's the thing. In the online world, credibility is everything.
It's true. If I land on a website and it's full of typos, I'm out. I immediately question everything about them.
Exactly. It erodes trust. Like, if they can't even be bothered to get their own writing right, what does that say about their attention to detail in general?
Exactly. It's like going to a five-star restaurant and finding a typo on the menu. Kind of makes you wonder about what's going on in the kitchen, right?
Perfect analogy. And the RoleCatcher guide, they make this point really well. They talk about how consistent, error-free content, it builds credibility and trust, especially online. It shows that you, as a brand, as a business, as a creator, you take pride in your work.
And that you respect your audience enough to not waste their time with sloppy writing. Okay, so someone is listening to this right now and they're thinking, proofreading, huh? Maybe that's my calling. What skills do they need to be successful? Because we know it's more than just being a good speller.
Oh, way more.
Yeah.
It's a whole mix of things. You've got your hard skills and your soft skills.
Okay, so like technical stuff versus people skills.
Yeah, kind of. On the technical side, obviously, grammar and punctuation, that's the foundation. And then there's a whole world of style guides.
Oh, style guides. I swear they change every time I look at them.
Right. Every publication, every organization, they have their own preferences. It can be a jungle out there. But a good proofreader, they navigate it like a pro. They know their way around an M dash like nobody's business.
M dashes, N dashes. Honestly, sometimes I still have to Google that.
You and me both. No shame in that. But beyond the rules of language, those soft skills, they're equally important. The RoleCatcher guide, it highlights some really interesting ones, like reading comprehension.
Wait, isn't that a given? I mean, you're reading for a living, right?
You'd think so, but it's more than just being able to read. It's about really grasping complex text, identifying inconsistencies, areas for improvement. That critical thinking piece is huge.
Okay, so it's not just about spotting a missing comma. It's about understanding the writer's intent, the overall message, and making sure it all hangs together.
Exactly. It's like being a detective, but for words. You're looking for clues, connecting the dots, making sure the logic holds up, and then there's communication and collaboration.
Right, because you're not just silently correcting things in a vacuum, you're working with other humans.
Exactly. You have to be able to articulate your findings clearly, both verbally and in writing, and then work with the writer or editor to make those changes. And sometimes those conversations, they can be a little delicate.
Especially if you're catching a big error or suggesting a major rewrite.
Right. So tact, diplomacy, those are key soft skills for any aspiring proofreader. But you know what really surprised me about this RoleCatcher guide? The sheer variety of career paths you can take as a proofreader.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say we need to get into that because
Yeah.
it's not just about working at a publishing house anymore, is it? It's way more open than I realized. Like, the whole world is your proofreading oyster now, isn't it?
That's a good way to put it. The digital boom has been huge for proofreading.
Mm.
Freelance opportunities, remote work, it's all there.
So you could be working from a beach somewhere, sipping a smoothie and catching typos. Sign me up.
Right. The dream. And the RoleCatcher guide, they get into all of that. They break down the pros and cons of freelancing, which I thought was super helpful.
Oh, I'm sure there are some definite trade-offs.
There are. I mean, on the plus side, you're your own boss. You set your own hours, choose your own clients. You could potentially earn a great income.
Okay.
There's always a but. There is. With freelancing, you're responsible for everything. Finding clients, managing your time, handling the financial side. It's not for everyone.
Definitely not. It takes a certain personality type to thrive in that kind of environment.
For sure. But the guide also talks about those more traditional career paths, too.
Right, like the classic publishing house gig.
Exactly. Starting as an assistant, working your way up to proofreader, maybe even managing editor one day.
Right.
There's definitely a path there if that's what you're looking for. And, you know, what I thought was interesting was the emphasis on continuous learning.
Oh, yeah. That came up a lot, didn't it?
It did. And for good reason. Language changes, technology evolves, new style guides pop up all the time. It's an ongoing process.
You got to stay sharp. You can't just rest on your grammar laurels.
Exactly. Okay, but can we talk about something for a minute? This just blew my mind when I was going through the RoleCatcher stuff. They had this whole section on interview prep.
Their interview question database, oh, curiously, I got lost in there. Over 120,000 questions. It's incredible.
I know. They have questions for practically every career under the sun. And the ones for proofreading, so good. They really make you think.
Okay, so give me an example. What kind of curveball questions should an aspiring proofreader be ready for?
Okay, this one I thought was really clever. How do you handle difficult or unclear language in a document? Because, let's be real, not every writer is a prize-winning novelist.
Some of us struggle to string a coherent sentence together. Believe me, I know.
Uh, but that's the point. It's not always about finding a missing comma. Sometimes the problem is bigger than that. It's about recognizing unclear writing, maybe suggesting a different structure.
So it's about diplomacy too, right? Because
Yeah.
you can't just tell a writer their work's a mess.
Exactly. Tact is key. It's about offering constructive feedback, collaborating to make the writing stronger. Okay, ready for another one?
Hit me.
Can you describe a time you caught an error that others had missed? It's your time to shine, showcase those eagle eyes.
Oh, I love that. It's like, prove your worth, grammar guru.
Right. It's a chance to tell a story, highlight your skills, really demonstrate your value. And even if you're not actively job hunting right now, these questions, they're good food for thought.
Absolutely. It's all about perspective, right? Thinking about how you would answer these tough questions, it can only make you a better proofreader in the long run.
100%.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. As we wrap up, what are the key takeaways you hope our listeners walk away with today?
Well, first and foremost, proofreading is way more than meets the eye. It's a skill, it's an art form, it's essential in today's world.
Especially in the digital age where everyone's a publisher.
Exactly. And the need for clear, accurate, and credible content has never been greater.
Couldn't agree more. Huge thank you to RoleCatcher for giving us the inside scoop on this fascinating career path.
Seriously, their resources are amazing. I learned so much.
Me too. And we always like to leave our listeners with a little something to ponder. So here's a question for you. In a world that's becoming increasingly automated, will human proofreaders become even more valuable? Oh, that is a good question. It really makes you think.
Right. Because you've got AI, you've got all this technology that's supposed to be doing everything for us now.
But there's still that human element, that ability to understand nuance and context that I think will always be important.
It's like that saying to err is human. But maybe to really catch those errors, you need a human too.
I like that. I think you're onto something.
Well, something tells me this conversation isn't over. But for now, we're out of time. So, until next time, happy editing, everyone.